everyone. Hello, hello. Is the mic on? The mic is on.
Just for you.
Is the mic on? Mike, can you hear me? Yes. Okay. We can hear you. Good. My name is Taylor Searles. Y'all don't know me. On all my ID tags, it says Robert. I just like to lie and confuse people. It's whatever. So my presentation today is going to be cough and shortness of breath in patients with HIV. This is clinical pearls, 11-11-15. Okay. So case presentation. 38-year-old female with a past history of G6PD deficiency and HIV with her most recent CD4 count is 9, viral load of 44,000 2 months prior. Comes in with 1 month of non-productive cough and 1 week of progressive shortness of breath. She went to her primary medical doctor 2 weeks ago, was given a Z-Pak, symptoms initially improved before getting worse. So physical exam, here's everything. Of note, SpO2 was 95% on 3 liters of oxygen. She speaks in full sentences, has a dry cough. There's some slight crackles, but no accessory muscles are being used currently. No skin lesions, nothing else. Blah. Okay, so anything else y'all want to know?
Meds.
Huh? She's on Mepron and Strilbid, but neither very often.
Is she usually on oxygen, or they put her on oxygen because she was sad?
They put her on oxygen because she was sounding well. Mepron is a topical. So it's prophylaxis for PCP. But like I said, she doesn't use either of those drugs very regularly.
No HSM. I don't know what
Hepatosplenomegaly. Anything else? Yeah. Got a chest X-ray, and shows this. So what do we think that she has? Badness. Anyone? PCP. Okay, so pneumocystis pneumonia is caused by Pneumocystis jirovecii, which is a fungus, but it acts like a parasite. So that's why you can use things like atovaquone and other things like that to actually treat it. This is your typical X-ray. You get your diffuse, bilateral, patchy infiltrates, kind of just interstitial pneumonia kind of going on. And so this is not actually her, but just a stereotypical PCP lung. That's your typical X-ray. So if your disease presentation, it's typically subacute. So this patient, she came in with progressive shortness of breath, cough for over a month. If you asked for a rectal temp, she had 100.8 rectal temp. And obviously your CD4 is less than 200. Another defining characteristic is hypoxia, which, as we all know, is an AA gradient greater than 35 or a pressure of oxygen in the blood less than 70 millimeters of mercury. Basically what happens is that the pneumocystis is, like I said, the fungus that lives in your lungs, and so it actually scars up all the alveoli, which causes an increased a thickening of the alveoli, which, as we remember from step 1, the more space that gas has to diffuse through, the less gas will diffuse. So that's what causes your hypoxia. And there's also this is your typical presentation, but you can also have rapid progression into ARDS, you can have fevers, night sweats, weight loss, things like that could also kind of steer you maybe more towards tuberculosis or something else. So your DDX is pretty much in all of these things. So for the diagnosis, it's typically clinical in the ED. If there's hypoxia without other cause, and this can be hypoxia at rest, this can be hypoxia on ambulation. In the ED, there's not much more that we really need to do for a patient like we said, it's with hypoxia, CD4 count under 200 with pulmonary symptoms. I mean, for blood, you can get your ABG to check your AA gradients and whatnot. And also, you can also get a chest X-ray. The thing about a chest X-ray, though, is this table. So this is just the radiographic findings for basically all pulmonary disease in HIV-infected individuals. I'm not really going to go over this, but the main point is that PCP is in each of these things. So if you get a normal radiograph, if you get cavitary disease, you still have to think about PCP. And also, if you have your diffuse infiltrates, like common in PCP, it can still be any of these other things: tuberculosis, cholecystoma, plasmosis, etc. So just because you get, so basically the chest X-ray is good, but not great. And if you get a normal radiograph, but your suspicion's pretty high for PCP, you can get a CT, which has better sensitivity and specificity for PCP. There's really no good serologic test. For a while, there was a bunch of papers that said, we know that people with PCP have a higher LDH level, but as we know, lactate dehydrogenase is basically present in most cells in the body. So anytime you have any kind of cellular damage, LDH will go into the blood system. So LDH is neither really sensitive nor specific for PCP, so you don't really need to get it. There are a bunch of papers that also talked about beta-glucan, which is it's a molecule that's in the cell walls of all fungi. Once again, it's present in all fungi, so it's relatively specific for a fungus infection. But as we said earlier, any of these symptoms can be caused by pretty much any fungal infection. So it's not very...
Well, I will say that in most pneumonias, I don't really see the LDH go up that much in my clinical experience. I think that if you see LDH above 600, 700, you really should think PCP. I think most pneumonias won't go above 200, 300, 400 at the max. So you should consider it.
So I mean, I know like Dr. Varian also, she draws LDHs all the time, and most of our other doctors do. So really, I guess, it's attendee specific, because I've had several patients with PCP where they were like, don't do it, and others were like, sure, do it. So like you said, if it's really elevated, it kind of steers you more towards PCP, but if it's just kind of elevated, it doesn't really help you all that much.
Well, I think you're going to treat them with action, and it doesn't matter if you do it or not, then that doesn't make a difference. But if you're making your decision to treat based on that, then that'll be helpful.
I believe there's some prognostic uses as well in terms of prognosis of PCP. So I mean that's why I kind of think that it can be, I use it a little bit for diagnostic and maybe skew me one way or another, but I think it's a good test to send if you're in for a pneumonia HIV patient, because I think there is some prognostic data for having an elevated LDH and mortality with LDH.
Yeah, I think
They
your
also
LDH
trend
is
it,
normal.
they trend it for during
Yeah.
treatment and disposition planning and in-house.
Yeah, so I think it is helpful. But I definitely agree the data for as a diagnostic test is not competitive.
It's kind of sensitive. So I think if your LDH is low, it's against it being PCP. But if your LDH is high, a lot of stuff will give you a high LDH.
And then some studies also tried to look at PCR of the blood, but that was even less sensitive and specific than any of the other things, because the fungus is typically mainly in the lungs. So the actual diagnosis is done basically inpatient with a bronchoscopy, either with a washing or with an actual tissue sample. So it's beyond the scope of what we do in the ED. So management, as all of my fellow interns know, ABC's IVO2 monitor. Basically, this patient comes in, severely hypoxic, can't breathe, et cetera, always protect the airway first. So you can do, if they need to be intubated, you can intubate, CPAP, anything that you need to do in order to make sure they keep breathing. And then go from there. The second most important thing is to start treatment. Studies show that patients with hypoxia, which we saw was the less than 70 or the AA gradient of greater than 35, steroids actually help slow the disease progression. So typically what you do is a 21-day tapered course of steroids. It's 40 milligrams BID for 5 days. Then it's 40 milligrams Q day for 5 days, and then it's 20 milligrams Q day for the rest of the time. Bactrim is also obviously first line. You can, if the patient's kind of okay. You can give oral, which the dose is 4 milligrams of trimethoprim, 4 mg per kg, which basically kind of equates to be 2 double-strength doses of Bactrim for about a 60-kilogram individual. So in the ED, if they're well enough, you just give 2 double-strength Bactrims if they're well enough. Otherwise, you can give IV if they're a little bit more sick. Obviously, in a patient that has either G6PD like this patient or is sulfa allergic, you can't give Bactrim. So pentamidine is second line, but it has a high side effect profile, hepatotoxic, nephrotoxic. It also prolongs the QT interval. So it's a very bad drug. It's basically only used when someone cannot take Bactrim for whatever reason and needs IV antibiotics. If you can tolerate PO at all, your other options are like the Clinda, Primaquine, the atovaquone, or the trimethoprim and dapsone. So that patient before was on atovaquone for her prophylaxis. She just didn't really ever take it. And so basically all these patients are going to be admitted. Depending on how bad they are, they might be admitted to the ICU or an isolated room on the floor. So in summary, the common presentation, as we said, go, Dr. Grinshine.
And just on the treatment, you're right, the dose is 4 milligrams per kilogram of the trimethoprim component, but it's every 6 hours. So usually we're used to giving Bactrim for UTIs or Bactrim for MRSA twice a day. This is every 6 hours. This is 4 times a day. Both whether you give it IV or whether you give it PO, it's every 6 hours.
Thank you. And so, as a summary, it's the common presentation is basically just your slow, slowly progressive shortness of breath, cough, possible fever with hypoxia. And remember the uncommon presentations of progressive or rapid progression to ARDS, night sweats, fevers, etc. The diagnosis is typically clinical. In the ED, basically that's all we do, make sure we have a high suspicion for PCP, admit, and then they can get the bronchoscopy or whatever else they need for actual diagnosis later. For treatment, as always, ABCs, and then steroids if they're hypoxic, and you give your Bactrim or your alternative. Any questions?
Specifically, with the clinical assessments, the hypoxia, what we used to do in residency is we would walk them around the ED, and if they severely become hypoxic, that was definitely suggested to really, it was highly sensitive that it was more like a PCP than just a regular pneumonia. The most common cause of pneumonia in AIDS or HIV patients is still just pneumonia, right? So that was also very sensitive, is hypoxia with exertion.
That's a board, question. If you hear that on the boards, exertional hypoxia, that's PCP.
Yeah, and just the other thing I want to emphasize is because even though we think always about PCP, pneumonia, and HIV, the most common cause of pneumonia in HIV is still CAP stuff. And so if there's any question in your mind, you not only cover with Bactrim, but cover Bactrim is no longer a good pneumococcus or a good atypical drug at all. So add on to that the ceftriaxone plus diazithro if you're not sure which way to go, so you cover for all 3.
Anyone else? Nope. Thank you.